Okay, we're going to get started, everyone. It's around about 3 minutes past 1. So welcome to our Lunch and Learn session. And the subject of this Lunch and Learn session is mental health awareness, a subject that is really close to my heart and my co-host's heart as well, Emma, who I will introduce very, very shortly. It's only a short session. Although you'll get a few top tips during the session, we do also want to promote the fact that there is a mental health aware course which is now online. It will be hosted by myself, and it's 4 hours and fully accredited by Mental Health First Aid England. So just to sort of let people mull on that, think about that. If you've got any questions throughout, please use your chat function and ask us any questions. There will be a little bit of time at the end as well to ask some further questions. So the content will be led by myself and Emma, although we do want you to interact. It's not really a webinar, so to speak. It is more interaction. So you should, hopefully, if you want to, and only if you want to, you should be able to switch on your video and your sound. I am happy for you to do that as long as we don't get loads of interruptions and things, which I'm sure we won't do on this session. A recording will be available of this session, so I'm quite happy to either send through a link or send you the video after. And we'd really appreciate some feedback, actually. This is the first mental health aware Lunch and Learn that we've done, and we'd appreciate that. There'll be a QR code at the end. Where you can just take a minute or so just to give us some feedback. So what's the session going to contain? Let me just move on. So what we're going to be looking at today is we'll show you a short video, and that'll tell you a little bit more about Mental Health First Aid England, who do the accreditations for these programs. There'll be some quiz questions as well, so we'll get you interacting there. We'd love to hear from everybody actually on this session around what you already do now in your organisation, or if you're working for yourself. What do you do now when it comes to developing yourself and others around mental health? I'll talk to you a little bit more about the course itself, and then we'll have a little bit of time for a Q&A at the end. Okay, so without further ado, I will introduce myself and Emma. So some of you that have been on my webinars over the last few weeks might be getting sick of my mugshot, but it's there anyway. I'm Lee Morris. I work for ANDS Partnership. I do quite a bit of coaching, leadership development, organisational development, but I'm also really, really passionate about mental health first aid. I took the 2-day first aid course while I worked at Nottingham City Council, and then I got really interested in it, wanted to find out much more, and became an actual instructor. So I deliver the 2-day sessions, so people become mental health first aiders. And I am supported by Emma today, which is fantastic, real privilege. Emma's actually on furlough leave from Specsavers at the moment. But actually does quite a bit of voluntary work and is volunteering for Dorset Mind, and quite a few initiatives, Emma, haven't you got going? Did you want to share those?
Yeah, so I'm working on a couple of projects at the moment. Well, 3. One that's a bit of a personal one. So I'm doing some Facebook, almost like a cafe mind situation. And also for Dorset Mind, I'm doing their Dorset Mind Your Head, which is for schools. So we're converting classroom lessons to virtual lessons. And we run twice weekly active in mind sessions. So last week we did a 10-minute video with Mr. Motivator online. So it's kind of a whole host of different things that we're doing right now, which is great to see.
Fantastic. Thanks, Emma, and you will hear much more from Emma later on. So I've already talked about Mental Health First Aid England a couple of times. I don't know how much people know about that organisation. I think it'd be a good time now to show this video, and this is where technology is not going to let me down. It's definitely not going to let me down. Come on. So I'm going to play you a short video.
We are Mental Health First Aid England. Our vision is to improve the mental health of the nation. Our training is evidence-based. It increases people's mental health awareness, knowledge, skills and confidence. This enables them to step into situations where they notice signs of poor mental health. We want equality between mental health and physical health, in access to support and in people's ability to identify and prevent ill health. We have a talented instructor membership. They come from all walks of life and have a wide breadth of experience. Together, we are working towards a society where everyone can thrive. This is a society that recognises that better mental health is good for everyone. We want to transform how workplaces of all shapes and sizes think about mental health and well-being. This is key because most adults spend at least a third of their time at work. During our 12-year history, we have worked with people from over 20,000 workplaces. Workplaces from your local hairdressers to the global corporations. A board-level focus on mental health and well-being in workplace culture is the right way to do business. We want all leaders and managers to take active steps to support their employees' mental health. We can create a significant impact in the workplace and beyond by driving a culture of well-being at work. The impact on employees ripples out to their friends and family and everyone they have contact with. We are a social enterprise. We make profit with pride because we reinvest in communities who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford our training. We will offer our training to those who work with young people through free courses, discounts and bursaries. We believe in the power of social justice. Supporting children and young people's mental health will improve the well-being of the next generation. We do business the Mental Health First Aid England way. We show how a successful and profitable business can be happy, healthy and productive. Our mission is to train 1 in 10 people, the tipping point for a widespread and long-term change in society. We want our training to create an unshakable belief that we can all talk freely about mental health and seek support when we need it. By doing so, we will change and save lives. Our vision is to improve the mental health of the nation. We hope you're inspired to find out more about our work.
Okay, fantastic. Just using chat, anybody taken anything from that? What are the sort of key messages you got from that? Anybody sort of worked with Mental Health First Aid England before? It'd be nice to hear from you. So we've got Amy, who's a trained mental health first aider already, so definitely have the experience. Emma, 1 in 10 is the goal. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, I totally agree. Becky, yeah, this is not just for at work. You know, this is a real sort of holistic approach to mental health at home and at work. And Jeanette also centering on that 1 in 10 being an interesting stat. Great mission to have, I agree. And great to see the link being made with organisations, profits. We'll hope to get the interest of business leaders too, which is definitely what we want. And for those of you that want to find out a little bit more about the impact on businesses, Deloitte have just done a survey with extensive survey actually with Mind, and it's got some really powerful statistics. You could just Google Deloitte mental health survey. It's a really good document. Okay, fantastic. Well, let's move things on a little bit.
We are mental health.
The video. Just wanted to tell you a little bit more about ANDS Partnership if people haven't worked with us before. So we do, as I said earlier for myself, but as an organisation, do a lot of leadership and development programs with a wide range of clients, anywhere between Sport England and Specsavers and Yorkshire Ambulance Service and so many more that I could mention as well. But we have spent a lot of time working with clients from the NHS, which has been fantastic to see some of the sort of work with their leaders over these last few weeks coming to fruition. So I just wanted to show off a little. We don't normally do that very much, but this was a quote from one of the participants from one of our clients in the leadership program. So we do get that, but what we wanted to do was we were finding that when we were delivering these sessions to leaders and colleagues, that what was coming up an awful lot was well-being and people's well-being, and that having an impact on work and how to work and productivity and etc. Absenteeism, presenteeism. So we really wanted to centre on that, and that's where we invested in getting into mental health first aid. So I've delivered quite a few courses now, including an open course on mental health first aid. I quite like this quote that came from one of our participants, and I think this is quite interesting in terms of, you know, not everybody's got the experience, knowledge and confidence when it comes to mental health, and this course and the mental health aware course will definitely give you a lot more confidence. You'll find out lots more about different mental health conditions and how you can actually support them. You're not going to become an expert in terms of mental health. You're not going to be able to diagnose that, but actually having the confidence to ask questions and to have conversations, I think is really important. The other thing is to look after your own mental health as well as being really, really key on this. So we offer these courses, and we're really, well, it'd be great to get everybody else involved. I know Becky, who's on this call today, has actually attended one of my mental health first aid courses, so she's a mental health first aider as well. I don't know, Becky, if you can say a few words. May well be dropping you in it now, but
that's all right. I'm used to it. Yeah, so I attended this course back in January or more. I can't remember. I don't know what month we're in. Yeah, I think it was January. And it was really useful to be able to just get that extra bit of knowledge, because I am the first aider for, you know, the physical first aider. So to actually have that mental health first aid awareness is so useful, and it's come into play quite a lot already, to be honest. Just not only with sort of people I manage, but also just across the board. So it's been really useful.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Becky. Okay, so loads of opportunities to ask questions about that course and the Aware course. I'm going to hand over to Emma for a little while now. And we're going to start with gratefulness.
Thanks, Lee. So yeah, it might feel a bit tricky right now, looking at what we can be grateful for. However, this quote really resonates with me, which is, it's not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratefulness that makes us happy. So we're asking you today, let us know where you're joining us from. So if you can find your chat function, where are you joining us from today? And also, what are you grateful for? So it'd be really good to hear some of your thoughts in the chat function. And I guess just to kind of share while you're typing away frantically, the things that I'm grateful for at the moment is although furlough hit me pretty hard, the opportunity to get to work with Lee and Anne again, so we work together in Specsavers is fantastic, and also to be able to work with Dorset Mind as well. So Lee, what are you grateful for today? Putting you on the spot.
I think spending the time, being able to spend some quality time with the family, and getting good at board games like Monopoly and Cluedo and stuff like that. But in all seriousness, it is great to spend that time. And I know we might get sick of each other from time to time, but it's a real, you know, it is a joy to spend some time with my girls and my wife, as well as it's the flexibility for me. That's what I'm grateful for, you know, being able to flexibly work and be with the girls and have some time on my own as well.
And I think we're seeing a lot of that in the chat, Lee. So we've got few comments coming in. So Becky's saying grateful to spend more time with the family. Jeanette, hi Jeanette, is saying grateful for time to learn, sunshine and daily walks. The fact that we can work remotely, Steve, you know, it's some of us were working remotely previously, but it's great to see, perhaps to push some other people that may have not done it before to give it a go and actually be able to see those benefits. And to be safe, we've got some comments in there, and being able to work from home. So looks like we've got some gratefulness in common, which is good. And one of the things to do with well-being is to try and practice this on a daily basis, and encourage others to do the same as well. So if you're getting fed up with people saying or asking you how you are, and things like that, asking people what are they grateful today, you know, it starts that conversation on a positive. Okay, so we've got some quiz questions for you now. And for this activity, we're going to get you to use the annotation tool. So if you haven't used annotation before, if you go up to the top of your toolbar, so the top of your screen, there should be an option which says View Options. And then you can scroll down and it should provide you with an option for Stamper. And there's a whole host of stampers that you can use. So there's hearts, there's stars, there's green ticks. We're allowing you today to choose whatever stamper resembles how you feel. And what you're going to do is you're going to use your stamper to answer this question. So the question that we're asking you today is, what percentage of staff said that they would consider leaving their current role within 12 months if stress levels in their organisation did not improve? So have a go with your stamper and see what you think. Okay, so we've got a heart on 21%, we've got a star, got a green tick on the 11. Okay, so we've got a bit of a spread. All right, okay. So, Lee, do you want to reveal the answer?
Whoops.
Hang on.
I mean, annotate.
That's okay. There we go. So it's in fact 31%, which is quite interesting, isn't it, to think that, you know, this is, and I think this now is a time that people are really thinking about their lives. They're having time to think and reevaluate, which is really, really interesting. So we may see some shifts moving forward. We've got another quiz question for you. Now you've got the hang of the stamper. So if you want to reveal our next question, which is, what percentage of employees say that they'd feel more motivated and more likely to recommend their organisation as a good place of work if their employer took action to support mental health and well-being? So is it 40, 50 or 60%? Excellent. Okay, we've got a heart, a couple of stars and a tick and an arrow on 60. It is in fact 60%. Thank you, Lee. So that's really interesting, isn't it? And one of those things that employers can do is to provide the training around mental health. That's kind of one of the many things that we can be doing. So it's great that we're talking about that today. So we'd really like to hear more about you and your organisation and what this looks like for you. So the question that we're going to ask you, and if you want to answer in the chat, or feel free if you want to come off mute and let us know, what do you or your employer currently do to support mental health and well-being? So let us know, what do you or your employer currently do to support mental health and well-being? So I know you guys and Partnership have been having a lot of virtual catch-ups and check-ins. What kind of things have you been doing? I'm going to ask Anne this time. And what have you guys been doing to support your mental health and well-being?
Yeah, right from the get-go, we started to have a morning team meeting, which we know lots of our clients are as well. So every morning we can all dial in, and those who, if it's their day off, they don't have to, but they can if they want to. So it's kind of a choiceful thing to do. At least we're seeing each other and having a chance to say, how are you? And chat about family or work. And I think because we can all see our domestic situations behind us, that's actually made a greater link with people's kids or dogs or partners walking past. So we've almost increased some of that personal connection over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, and that's one of the key messages from Mental Health First Aid England. They've got that campaign at the moment which talks about bringing your whole self to work, and I think we're all getting to know each other, our pets, and families and things like that more than perhaps ever before, which is great, isn't it? Okay, let's have a look in the chat and see what we've got going on. So Steve is saying that he have a mental health first aider who is still available remotely. That's fantastic. My immediate team have a welfare call on Teams 3 times a week where you talk about how are we and not work matters. That's great. Jeanette, are you okay to come off mute? Appreciate you might be in a busy background.
I know, I'm on a tablet, so it's really like slow to answer. So it's like, I can't find the right screen. Anyway, I'm here. Hi, Emma.
So talk to us about what's your employer currently doing?
So I work for an organisation or a company called Rising Vibe. We're a small culture consultancy. I'm also for Loud too, like you. But what we normally do in normal times is we are a culture consultancy. So we support businesses in creating environments where, we use your phrase that you just said, but where people can bring their whole self to work, where people have psychological safety to be really honest about how they're feeling.
That's great. And how do people respond to that? Because I'm thinking about some environments that I've worked in before that people might think, you're saying that, but is that really true? I think there's still hesitation. What's it like for you
and
guys?
it's really mixed. I think it depends, as you'll probably guess, each business is very different. But the thing that we encourage managers and leaders to do is to be consistent. So it's consistently show up with this, because what tends to happen that in our experience, and it'd be interesting to know if you guys see the same thing, is that a manager tries something new, people don't feel safe enough to engage in it because they think it's the kind of new flavour of the month, and then the manager kind of goes, it's not working, so they give up. So we try to encourage them to keep trying, keep going, because you, as a leader or a manager, you need to really be showing your employees that you really mean this, that it's here to stay.
Absolutely, and I'd agree with you 110%. I think it's top down, isn't it? It's leading by example, not just telling everyone to look after their mental health and well-being. Often it's the more senior staff that need to be doing those things for themselves to then lead by example. Anne, what's your thoughts on this one?
In terms of consistency and being authentic about it, I think it's early days. I think some cultures are already quite inclusive and caring, some certainly aren't. But I think the idea of mental health support and awareness and stuff being part of the employer's role and the validity of it in the workplace is quite new. So I haven't sort of seen this resistance from senior people because it's kind of early days, but I can imagine there'll be some awareness about what exactly is it you're asking us to do for our people. So it's kind of early days, but as we start, I think it'll become more, people recognise it's part of their role as managers and leaders, and then tell them more how to do it is what I would think.
Brilliant, thank you. And I've noticed
sorry guys, I've got a call at 1:30.
Thanks for joining us though. Nice to see you, Anne.
Really enjoyed it. Bye.
So we've got Becky who has just commented in the chat. Are you okay to come off mute?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so tell us more. The key, that's the key with the mental health first aider, is to keep asking the questions. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, I think people tend to think if they ask the question once and somebody says, no, I'm fine, then they're okay and they just carry on. I think the key to it is to keep asking those questions because people are not always able to say on the first instance or to open up. So they need to build that trust before they're able to talk to somebody and trust them that not going to break their confidence or it's not going to affect their position in the workplace. So I think it's really key, and it's important that, like we just said, Jeanette just said about consistency, that is kept consistent, because if it's not and it's just kind of looked at as the flavour of the month, then when it comes down to it, people aren't going to trust in it and are not going to be able to open up, and ultimately it will fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And thanks for sharing the tip. Now, talking about tips, we've got some tips that we want to share with you. So I'm going to pass back to Lee now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll grab the baton back. So yeah, we wanted to give you a few tips, and some of these tips are really key and have come from Mental Health First Aid England. So these are talking tips. These are just to go back to I guess what Becky was talking about in terms of asking questions. But so the first one, keep the chat positive and supportive. Exploring the issues and how you may be able to help. I think that's really key in terms of being positive, and not sort of thinking, oh no, you know, what do I say, what do I do, and there's a panic there. I think, you know, that will rub off on the on the individual. So I think being positive, being supportive, not pushing too much, and just being there to explore things. And like Becky said, for me, it's definitely about asking the question twice. When somebody says that they feel fine, that's not necessarily what they really feel. So that's the first one, keeping it positive and supportive. The second one, really key. So the body language. I'm sure most people will know about body language and the fact that, you know, when it comes to communication, body language is so key. It really is when you're talking to somebody about mental health. And being non-confrontational as well. So we even explore how to sit, you know, so you're not actually sat traditionally across somebody or with any barriers. You kind of sat at an angle as well. So being non-confrontational or appearing to be non-confrontational can be really key for somebody building trust and opening up. I think the third one, wow, it really matters this. So being empathetic is absolutely it's fundamental when you're actually having a mental health conversation. So your values, your history, your beliefs are going to be very different to everybody else's. And what you've got to think is that, you know, how they're reacting is very important to them. And I think that's a really key thing. So, and Mental Health First Aid England talk about being non-judgmental. So that's the really, you know, key phrase for me is non-judgmental listening with fascination, but listening non-judgmentally. It's not always easy to do because we're all distracted. We've all got 1,000,001 things to do both at home and at work. So that can be really difficult. Actually, sounds that easy, and it's not. The fourth one, don't offer glib advice such as pull yourself together or cheer up. I remember back to my days when I worked in financial services as a manager, and I still remember to this day my regional manager telling me to man up, and the sort of impact on that. So you've got to be really careful with the phrases that you're using, because you might not be saying it to be nasty or anything like that. You're saying it, your heart's probably in the right place, but it can have such a huge impact. And, you know, telling someone to cheer up when they're really down, anxious, stressed, etc., is just going to inflame the situation. And then, you know, really key as well, the fifth one, take into account cultural differences in communication. So, you know, I would say anyway, when it comes to eye contact, for example, not staring somebody in the eye is really key. So I'd probably, you know, 2 seconds at the most or something, and then sort of look away. I think is really key, and that's where the seating position, actually being at the sides. I know you're not being able to see this, everybody, properly, but I can explain a little bit more afterwards. Is really key. So looking at those 5 talking tips, and I know we've got some mental health first aiders on here anyway, using that annotation tool. Which one of those 5 do you think you probably want to improve on? Which one? And this is all sort of confidential, but which one do you think would need some work? If you stamp it, or so yeah, interesting. Yeah, so we've got a couple on the positive and supportive. We've got being empathetic and taking people seriously, and then the biggest one actually out of a lot is the cultural differences in communication style. And I think that's just sometimes because we don't always know about different cultures, and for me the best thing there is education on that. And that's not to become an expert at every different culture, But there's a lot of stuff online now, and I'm sure organisations have got equality and diversity awareness programs, and I would say that's really important to grab onto. The mental health first aid course and resources will help with all 5 of these things. So that's just something to kind of bear in mind as we go on. Okay, I'm going to clear my annotation, I think, now, and I'm going to crack back on. So I just wanted to talk to you about mental health aware. So what this is a 4-hour session. It's online. It's still going to be interactive. We've got breakout rooms. We've got the use of chat. We've got the use of the annotation tools. We've got an interactive whiteboard. So it's still pretty interactive. 4 hours with a break, and you can do it in the comfort of your own home. Fully accredited by Mental Health First Aid England. It will give you the tools to challenge the stigma. There is still stigma out there. We've had discussions about that actually on here today, but there's definitely stigma out there. And what we want is everybody to challenge that stigma. Explore any mental health challenges. So, you know, it's not going to go into masses and masses of detail, but actually what it does do is it shows you some of the signs, the indicators of some of the more common mental ill health conditions. So things like depression, anxiety, PTSD, there'll be stuff on, even self-harm and suicide. Actually, there are references to, and it'll just help you get more confident. That's the real key thing on this. And then really important is being able to support someone in distress. So as I said earlier, the first thing is supporting yourself. That is fundamental as anybody in the mental health field, but also if somebody that you know, whether family or whether at work, is experiencing a mental health issue, what do you do? And I know years ago I wouldn't know what to do. Absolutely not. I'd either shied away from it, said the wrong thing, thought I was going to say the wrong thing. And it's with this education that I feel as though now I can have those conversations, and that's the position we want to get to. And this course, this mental health aware course, will actually help you do that. It will definitely give you more knowledge, more confidence to be able to support somebody through that mental health issue. It's accredited by Mental Health First Aid England, so yeah, you get a certificate, which is great, but you also get some amazing materials. And I do, anybody that's a mental health first aider will know that they get very good resources, a big handbook, and you will get resources as well as part of this. We'll get those sent out to people. So we've got our first one running 9 o'clock till 1 o'clock, Thursday the 5th of May. It'll be online, it's on our website, and feel free to book. The recommended retail price for Mental Health First Aid England is £125 to get an accreditation. But what we're doing as well is we do 2 things really. For 2 people booking at the same time, so maybe from the same organisation, we're actually going to discount that to £200. And we're also going to donate any of the money, 10% of that to Mind, who most people will know do a fantastic job, and Emma will certainly be able to say yes to that one in terms of it's a great mental health charity. They do an awful lot of work. So fantastic if people can join us, or even spread the message. Other people from your organisations or other organisations that you know that might benefit from this. Where I have got a QR code there, and we'll let you have a copy of this. But you can scan that QR code that takes you straight to the registration page as well. I would say, you know, for an online course, you know, that's 4 hours, there's an awful lot of content. There really is. You can find out more by going onto Mental Health First Aid England's site and typing in mental health aware, but it's good value. It's a really good value session. Okay, so for myself and Emma, before we end, I guess we're creeping up now to about 20 to 2. So here's your chance. We've got the chat functionality. Happy for people to unmute if they want, or use chat. Any opportunities to ask either Emma or myself about today's session, about mental health aware, or anything else you fancy asking? So use chat if you want to. Oh, Emma's put the event on there as well. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, so we've got a question.
Good question.
Yeah, when do you think it will become legislation to have a mental health first aider? It's on the radar in the political world. It's not yet. Nobody can give a time scale. I would think that it'll be in the next few years, because I think it's just growing with, emphasis in terms of, the two printers. I think, they started the sort of media ball rolling on it. And I think companies are now, they do know that there's a strong link between, absence and presenteeism and even productivity and good mental health. So I think that will be coming in soon. And for me, organisations need to be getting ahead of the game. Get ahead of the game. Put as much importance and emphasis on it as physical first aiders. It would be what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Jeanette agrees. Good. I'm happy with that. How much does it improve HR figures in terms of sickness? Do you have any figures? And I think Anne or Becky might have actually shared the Deloitte piece of research that does actually have some figures on it. I've been working with a council. I won't name the council. We don't need to, but they've put a huge emphasis now on mental health strategies. And one thing that their senior leadership team said at first was, it's going to increase absence. Everybody's going to be taking sickies because of mental health. And there was a real, so you can just see that there was still that stigma, and that, from a leadership point of view, this is raising awareness actually going to have a negative effect. Actually, month on month, their absence has reduced. And the ad hoc anecdotal feedback as well from people who work for the council is, I am so supported. I feel as though if I've got something that I need to discuss, I'm able to do that. I could do that with my line manager, but there's a whole pool now of mental health first aiders qualified that are out there in there as well. So, there is a whole lot of research out there that does show the correlation between reductions, definitely in absenteeism. I think presenteeism is this big one as well. Presenteeism is when people are coming into work and they shouldn't be at work because they're burnt out or they're poorly or whatever, and that can happen an awful lot. Really making sure that people are on top of their mental health can have an impact on that. I don't know, in answer to that, Jeanette, after all way, mental health England away from the 1 in 10 target. I'm not sure at the moment, but that's something that I can look into. And when we email out the link for the recording of this, I will try and get you some further data on that. Okay, well, any other questions? No? Okay, superb. So I hope everybody's enjoyed this this free session. I'd love everybody to sort of spread the word and pass on this. We may well be putting on another lunch and learn session on mental health aware, possibly next week. Emma and I are just going to organise that. What would be awesome is if you could definitely hover your phone camera, put your camera on, phone on the QR code that's now in front of the screen. And just spend, there's a few questions, so it might take a minute or so just to give a little bit of feedback. Anything else that you want to say to us would be awesome. But for now, it will be goodbye. So goodbye from me. And Emma?
And me, yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining along. And I just say, the more we can spread the word, the better it will be for all of us. So keep doing your great work of popping along and sharing the message. So thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.